Merry Christmas. Happy
Send
New
presents.
Year. 1987 is coming right around the corner. Thank you all very much. You keep that dial tune right here to the music box.
Merry Christmas! Christmas! Happy New Year. I like a train set. Train set, nothing nice.
I know really things couldn't be going much better for you. You've had sell-out shows, fanatical audiences. What's the secret here?
I don't know. If I knew, I'd bottle it. You know, I'd put it on the market, sell it, make $1 million.
Yeah.
We've just been doing what we do for 3 years, and it's grown, but it hasn't changed. You know, if that makes any sense. We just tried to be the band that we were when we first started, and although you get better because you keep doing it over and over again, you don't seem to change your attitude. You know, it's still that let's go get 'em kind of a attitude every day before the house lights go out. You know, it's just that now we can do the hour and a half or 2 hours, or you know.
Well, that formula hasn't only worked in Europe, it's also been very successful in America, where you've had a #1 album recently. I think the single is going to be going to #1.
Yeah, it's #1
You
now.
Give Love a Bad Name is #1 as well. And the Slippery When Wet album was a #1 album there too. What does it feel like to know that at a certain point, Bon Jovi was, and probably is at the moment, the #1 rock act in America? How does that feel?
I don't know. I just got chills just now. I mean, we're not the kind of guys that like get real crazy about believing that stuff, you know, because you really have to go out there with the attitude that every day is your first day playing. And we're going back to the States now, and you know, we were a little concerned because we were going to go out and headline the biggest halls that there were, you know, and there's like, you know, 10, 15, 20,000 seats every night. So we booked the tour. The stage is being built now back in the States, and it's, you know, this massive stage. And just for the hell of it, basically, they put on 2 shows for sale. One in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, and one in Denver, Colorado. And we were going to see what was going to happen. And I walked into the production office, and really unaware of what was going on, Doc had pointed out to me, one thing said 200, I think, and one said like 30-something, you know. And I says, oh my God, we sold 200 tickets the first day, we're in trouble. He says, no, that's what's left. You know?
Really?
And we sold out Denver in one day, and that's 14,000. And so it seems that it's just going to do the same thing in the States.
Oh, that's great. Well, the band is actually based in New Jersey, isn't it?
Well, yeah.
And if you have all this success, haven't you got your eye on some fashionable penthouse in the Upper East Side of Manhattan?
No, God forbid. No, I live in Jersey, and the guys live there, and this is all we do. You know, we feel comfortable living there. I live in this little crummy one-bedroom apartment on the beach, and I wouldn't give that up for anything.
I think it's a fairly well-publicised fact that you actually started out not that many years ago by sweeping the floors in a studio. That must have brought you into contact with some pretty interesting people.
Yeah, I had a chance to meet a lot of people. People who, you know, you looked up to, and you buy their records, and you know, then when you have the chance to meet them in person, you find that, you know, the bigger the star, the nicer the person. That
I'm sure you actually met Mick Jagger at this point.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did you save him from some photographers or something?
There was a story, yeah. I had a band together at the time. None of these guys were in it, and we were getting out of a taxi cab at the same time. It seemed that him and Charlie Watts, and they were getting out of a limousine, and I think Keith was inside, and they were all inside, best of my recollection. Anyhow, we were getting out of this taxi. They're getting out of the limo. I'm paying the guy, you know, scraping our money together.
Yeah.
And I see all these flash bulbs go off, and it really caught me by surprise because it was nighttime, and it was just around the death of Lennon, so it was like, you know, late 1980, you know. We grabbed this photographer and shook him, and his camera dropped to the ground, and he's going, Mick, let me get pictures of the Stones. And Mick was trying to keep it real hush that he was in the studio with the Stones doing that last record. And ends up, to make a long story short, Mick grabbed us and he said, yeah, this is the new Rolling Stones, you know, you want pictures, I'll give them to you right here. And then we all went inside and laughed it off, and Charlie Watts held the door open and says, oh, right this way, boys, you know, and it was pretty hip.
Well, we can take a look at the new Rolling Stones now, Bon Jovi. And this is your latest video, and this is Living on a Prayer. a solo recording artist, or did you always want to be part of a band?
I wanted this to always be a band. It was the song Runaway that really started it all.
That's a track on your first album?
On the first album, yeah. It triggered the whole thing. But that was basically because of that hometown record. It was like a radio compilation of local artists. And when it broke nationally, it was by a guy named John Bon Jovi. There was no band, there was no manager, there wasn't anything at the time. So with the national recognition of that song, to put a band together and call it, you know, the Shoes or something, you know, would have thrown people off that had played Runaway to thinking that, oh, this new band, oh yeah, well, they just covered that song, you know. And I didn't want that. I wanted, you know, to be known as a songwriter. So how did I combat that? I didn't want to be a solo artist. We just decided, let's call it Bon Jovi, and nobody seemed to have any problem with that. So
your actual name is Bon Jovi, isn't it?
No, it's pronounced Bon Jovi. It's just the phonetics in Italian. The GI is a J sound.
Right.
You
So
know?
you are of Italian descent.
Yeah.
Can you make a good lasagna then?
No.
You can probably eat one,
boil
though.
water. Yeah, right. I can eat one.
I'm expert at eating one as well. So where did you find the other members of the band? Were they just local in New Jersey?
Yeah, everybody lives right around each other. And without knowing each other, we knew of, you know, and I had seen Alec play in Phantom's Opera, which was a huge club band in Jersey.
That's Alec John Such, the bass player.
Alec John
in the
Such,
band,
yeah.
right.
And he was playing also in an original group with Richie Sambora.
Yeah.
Dave Bryan and myself had played on and off together through the years, and I had seen Tico Torres play with a band called Lord Gunner, which was a semi-original group down in Asbury Park.
Right.
And you know, basically, I called Dave, and I says, well, here's what I want to do. You know, I want to get the band together, and this is going to be like the band. And he says, okay. He quit school, and I saw Alec and told Dave about him, and he agreed. And I talked to Al, and he knew that, you know, the cover band circuit really didn't have a future. So he came on and recommended Tico.
All right.
And he initially got the meeting together with T. And it was snowing like hell one day, and I was supposed to meet with him. And I knew that if I didn't, you know, I'd be delaying the process. So I drove there in like this blizzard, you know, and he thought I was crazy enough to come there. He might as well really consider it. And he quit the Knockouts, you know, make a long story
Yeah, he was
short.
with Frank in the Knockouts.
He was with the
for a while,
Knockouts
yeah.
at the time, and they, you know, had a few albums out, and he'd just gotten off the road. And he went back to the garage again, you know. And we started playing out like that, and then a few months later, Richie Sambora was in the audience, and came backstage and said he wanted to be in the band. And after hearing him play and talking a bit, you know, we found we were really on the same track, you know.
And the rest, as they say, is history. And the first video the band made, which we're going to see in a moment, is called Runaway. And I understand, I understand that you weren't too impressed with the girl who plays the central character in this video. What didn't you like about her?
She was the director's niece.
Oh, I see.
You know, I mean, and it was our first video, and what did we know? And all we knew was we were in some hotel in New York, right? And we thought that was like the coolest thing in the world because we weren't paying the bills, you know, and we learned all kinds of neat things in the last 4 years about the record industry. And there's these video directors making this mini fire starter movie, and it had nothing to do with the song, and they wouldn't even let us be at the shoot except for the one part of the one day that they used us. And we saw it, and we almost died, you know.
Well, here it comes. You don't have to watch if you don't want to.
I'm leaving the room.
Thanks, John. This is Runaway coming up. This is Bon Jovi the Mouthy talking to Bon Jovi the band after the video. Here it comes by popular demand, or possibly not, Runaway. Already laid bare some of John's past. Now it's your turn, I'm afraid. Now, Richard, let's start with you. Is Bon Jovi your first recording band, or are there any albums out there with your playing on them?
No, actually, I've been a session musician for a while, and I've played on, you know, a few different records, some independent releases and stuff like that. I had my own band called Message that I couldn't believe it. Last year we did an in-store at a store in London. I forgot the name of the store, actually, but I walked in there, and the Message Records was there. I had my own independent release on my own independent label back in Jersey before Bon Jovi.
Yeah.
And also I was in a band called Duke Williams and the Extremes on Capricorn. And I was an extreme, of course. You know.
Catchy little name.
Yeah, it was on Capricorn Records, the Allman Brothers' old label, which is now defunct. But back then it was a sort of a jazz funk fusion type of band with a lot of black influence in it. So I took my musical influences to the left a bit, and I left for about a year. And I toured with them, and I made a record with them also. So.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. Now, what about you, then, David?
No, this is the first recording stuff I've done.
I must say that I think you've really blossomed of late, not only on the new Slippery When Wet album, but also in terms of the stage show.
Well, thank you. Yes, this year keyboards came up in the mix.
That's
And well, Richie and I just worked consciously about getting the guitar and the piano and the keyboards to happen.
Yeah.
You know, never stepping on each other and just leaving space and making it just sound good.
Yeah, it's often the case, though, with heavy rock bands that the keyboard player is either stuck away on the side of the stage or even stuck behind the amps at the back. But you're pretty much centre stage, aren't you?
Yeah, that's cool. My mom likes it.
Now, Richard, you've actually established a very good songwriting relationship with John, but do you write songs outside of Bon Jovi, possibly stuff that isn't suitable for this particular band?
Yeah, well, John and I have been writing a lot lately. Actually, for this record, we wrote 35 tunes, you know, which was a wealth of material, and then we picked from that to demo 20-somethings, 22 songs, and then we narrowed the album down from there. But we've also been writing for other artists now. That's when we originally got together with Desmond.
Desmond Child.
Desmond Child, who we wrote, you know, You Give Love a Bad Name with and Living on a Prayer. We got together with him because John and I wanted to establish ourselves as writers. So he was the way that we were going to get to other people, because he would be in New York walking the streets with the material while John and I were out on the road, and we couldn't, you know, get out there and panhandle our own stuff. So we were going to go through his medium to do that. And then we ended up writing a couple songs that we just couldn't throw away.
Right.
So, but we wrote a couple songs for Loverboy and stuff on their new record. You might show up, and Pat Benatar might do a few. So
That's interesting.
you might see some Bon Jovi songs on some other records.
Yeah. David, it's obvious that Bon Jovi is now crossed over to a larger audience, but are you frightened of crossing over too much and being thought of as pop stars rather than rock and rollers?
No, I don't think we'll have that problem just for the fact of our live performance. And we always have that heavy edge. I don't think we'll ever give that up.
Yeah. But you're actually I think you're something of a Beatles fan, aren't you, Richard?
Oh, big time, yeah.
An expert. I'm not going to ask you any questions on that, but has that influenced the way you write songs?
Absolutely, because I remember when I was a child, I guess I was about 7 years old, and my mom and dad bought me my first Beatle records. It was on VJ Records. It was called Please Please Me. I think it was their first single, right? And from then on, every day I remember I would put that single on, and then they bought me a couple other singles that were on Capitol, and then I got my first Beatle album, and I grew up with them. And I listen to their records today. You know, those old records, those songs still stand up because the melodies are so great, and the songs are just great songs. And that's what we try to do on Bon Jovi. We would just try to write really good songs, you know, and then color them later with whatever textures need to be colored.
Great. Well, thanks for stopping by the studio today.
Anytime.
There's 3 members of the band done and 2 more to go.
Ta-da.
In the meantime, we'll take a look at another Bon Jovi video, and this is In and Out of Love. The band. Now, Tico, you used to play with Frankie and the Knockouts, didn't you, at one point?
Yeah, I did about 2.5 years with them, one album. And after the album was done, the record company, Millennium Records, decided to say, we're quitting, so what do you do with an album without a record company? So then we broke up.
And what about you, Alec? Have you played on other records?
I played on one other record with Richie, our guitar player, in a band called Message. And it was basically a record that went nowhere because it didn't have a record company behind it from the start. So there was, it just didn't go anywhere from get-go. Right. But we traveled around with Joe Cocker for a while, and a lot of club bands. Mostly, I would say, mostly club bands. We played when we were kids together, bar bands.
Now, Alec, it has been said, but I'm not going to tell you by who, that you're the member of Bon Jovi who's most into the rock star lifestyle. Is that a fair comment, would you say?
That's what they say.
Yes, I've heard that.
I don't know if I should even say that, but...
I'll say it.
What do you think, then?
Sure,
Is that true?
Absolutely.
I mean, I like it. I'm living in my dream now, you know. Now I can do it. Now I can afford to do it. Before I couldn't afford to do it.
Well, if you're going to pass comment on Alec, I think Alec should pass comment on you, because it's been said about this man here, Tico, that he's always the first person into the bar and always the last person to leave. Is that true?
That's, on occasion, that will be the truth. I know I've gone out the next day, and he's just coming in. I'm going, Teak, and he's going, yeah, see you later.
I'm very much interested in how a bar works, so I want to learn everything about it.
Purely educational.
He's going to buy a chain of bars.
I want to get into that field one day.
Go girls.
I understand that one of Bon Jovi's first gigs, Tico, was actually supporting ZZ Top at Madison Square Garden. This was very early on in the band's career, wasn't it?
Very early. We didn't even have a deal yet. And Doc, we started dealing with Doc, and everybody said,
This is
don't
Doc
do
McGee,
it.
who's now
Doc
manages
McGee, yes.
Bon Jovi, yes.
And great gentleman, but we didn't listen. We just wanted to play the Garden.
Yeah.
If anything was worth anything, let's go with ZZ Top. And they were incredible. They gave us a sound check, which cost them about $10,000.
Really? That's
And we had our little amps, and it was terrible. It would have been something to have on film.
Really?
And there is a story circulating about that concert. Alec, you were actually arrested afterwards for carrying a gun on stage.
Right.
What happened?
Well, I got off the stage, and the police just whisked me away. I was downtown. Nobody even knew I was gone. It was nuts, man. There was limos coming down the highway, getting into the police station. I forget what precinct they brought me to. And they got me out. See, it was a real gun, but it was an antique gun.
Yeah.
They have made no bullets for it, like, since 1933. It was like in 1888, over and under Derringer. And I used to wear it on stage because it looked bad, you know.
Yeah.
But the policeman, he didn't think it was that cool, basically. So he said, I was handcuffed like this, going, oh no, here I am, Madison Square Garden, first time I'm down at a police station. But it ended up okay, because the guys pulled me out. Thank God, I thought they were going to leave me.
Now, the pair of you seem to get on pretty well, and as a rhythm section should. What's it like being in Bon Jovi, Tico? Is it just another band, or is it more of a family, would you say?
No, it's definitely different. It's like a family. I mean, you know, being in a lot of different bands, it's just like, I don't know, we get along together. We take vacation, holidays together.
Do you hang out together when you're not actually playing on stage?
Yes. Oh, all the time.
That's the amazing thing.
Yeah, we went on vacations together. We went to the Caymans last year and do all together. The only time actually we don't see each other is if we get to go home for like 2 or 3 days, which is where we're, you know, that's only usually at about 2 or 3 days we're home when we're on tour. And then, you know, you have your own stuff to do, you know, so you get home and you lock the door, put all the furniture in front of the front door so nobody can get in, and that's it, you know, like you hang out for a day, you're like, oh, wow. And then you're back together again, and we all hang out when we do records and stuff like that. We'll hang out.
Well, so you're heading off into Europe on a tour now.
Yeah.
Thanks for taking time to stop by the studio. We've now spoken to the whole of the Bon Jovi family, and we'll end with another video, and this is You Give Love a Bad Name.
Okay.
Thank you.